to another episode of
Mind Your Cleaning Business.
your host, Brian Layton, president of PHC Cleaners, with our co-host,
Ray DeMeo, Sunshine Cleaning Systems.
So again, thank you guys so much for following us, supporting us. You know, we talk everything cleaning industry, cleaning companies, and business in general, and hope to support and help any sort of entrepreneurs or business owners out there. So Ray,
Brian.
as always,
Yes.
how was the week?
It's been very good. Become a little more acquainted with the software to the website that I'm using. Becoming a little more familiar, a little bit easier. I also created a couple of landing pages thanks to your guidance and assistance. And just for those out there who might not know what a landing page is, Brian, can you talk just a little bit about that?
Yeah. So a landing page is any page that is designed to funnel or push a prospect or a client or potential customer to that page, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
In the SEO world, you'll create these landing pages that are targeted toward, for us, a service, and what's even more helpful is a service in a geographical area. So,
Right.
an example. So, obviously, you just did carpet cleaning in Waltham, Massachusetts,
I
right?
did,
Where
yes.
that's a big area
Mm-hmm.
for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, creating a landing page that targets that specific audience, right? So, when somebody from Waltham is looking for carpet cleaning services,
Right.
they'll land on that page, and that page is essentially supposed to be designed to target them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
Waltham, obviously the services they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
What's also important in a landing page is having some sort of relation, if you will. So you talk about like how Waltham's Watch City, so you might put a little line in there about the Watch City of Waltham.
Right.
So again, something that's it's a page that is designed for a specific audience, a specific target, where you're looking for them to do a specific action plan or take action on the page.
Gotcha.
Awesome. So that's awesome. So
Yeah.
you got a few pages done?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. Landing pages, especially in the SEO world, if you're just doing organic searches, they do take a while to kind of get through the Google system.
Yeah.
Another way you can do landing pages is through like Google Ads or advertising.
Right.
So if you're
Pay-per-click.
exactly,
Yeah.
you're targeting a specific audience, you want them to land on a certain page, and they're just more helpful than having the general homepage, right? So awesome. So let's dive into. So we just did an example, and for those that are watching, actually, before we dive in that, congratulations on 17 years.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's a massive achievement.
It is.
So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, obviously, in a prior episode, we talked about trials and tribulations, but
Yeah.
tell us a little bit. Give us a little brief about your history, and I know there's a lot of people you want to thank. And
I do. It's been a fun journey. Things didn't quite go as I had planned or thought they would at the beginning. Like you said, went through some hoops, had to make some adjustments, learned plenty of lessons. Some of them came easy, some of them came hard, some of them came with the assistance of others, some I learned on my own. That's one of the things of being an entrepreneur, is being able to just continue full-fledged, keep one step in front of the other, moving forward. In my journey, I would like to thank one of my teachers. He is no longer with us, unfortunately. His name was Dick Eramo. He was my graphic arts teacher. Dick and I hit it off right from the start. Not only in class, and I'm going back to the days of where we had to, let's see if I remember this right. We had to put an image through some kind of lighted thing onto a metal plate. And then we had to chemically clean that plate so that image would show up on an old printing press where we actually had to add the ink via rollers and all that, and then you had to tweak this, that, and the other thing, because sometimes the ink would show up darker and lighter.
oh man,
So yeah, we're going back. we're so spoiled today compared to those days.
right.
And then Dick and I would just have lunch together more often than not. And because of the workloads that Dick had to handle, not only for stuff with the school or other projects that were given to him, sometimes we would still stay in the classroom and chat after class because, well, when the day finished, I mean. So it was sort of my after school program with him. And he was just a very nice, old fashioned young man.
Nice.
Yep. Then fast forward, I want to thank my first employer. That would be Mr. Stephen Bernardi. He previously owned Johnson Drug. It is now Johnson Compounding and Wellness, which he and his wife Diane sold a few years ago to some new owners. Steve was always there to bat for me, and what's the word here? There were some employees who did not like me and wanted me fired, essentially. I was basically an immature teenager. We were all immature at that age, you know. I didn't know any better. I was just kind of this snobby, cocky, condescending nutcase, if you will. But Steve, like I said, he was always there for me. I would not be where I am today if it weren't part, thanks to him. Steve was much more of a father figure to me than he may realize. And he might not realize the impact that he had on me to this day, but I do want to thank you, Steve, for all that you did for me and continue to do. Then going to my own industry, I would like to thank Mr. Craig Jasper, aka Master Jasper. Anytime I have an issue that is cleaning related, this guy knows the formula. He's like a walk-in, talking, cleaning encyclopedia.
Oh man!
I mean, from the chemistry to the process to the follow-up, this guy knows his stuff. Craig, and when Craig comes to town, we always get together for dinner.
Nice.
In fact, I always used to need to call him to have him talk me through cleaning situations. But he taught me and trained me so well, I don't need to call him anymore for those reasons. So for that reason, I just call him just to shoot the shit.
Yeah.
Just so that he knows that I'm there and I know that he's there. But like I said, anytime he comes to town, in fact, next month he'll be coming to town in Salem, New Hampshire, and we'll be getting together for dinner then.
Nice.
Then coincidentally, the next two guys are actually not only in the same state, but in the same city practically.
Oh.
First one would be Mr. Bill Weigand. Bill, how you doing, buddy? He used to work for a chemical manufacturer. In fact, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think he helped formulate some of the products that are still used out there today. But he was also a former ISERC instructor. He has since retired. But Bill is just a wealth of knowledge and inspiration, wisdom, just an all-around great guy. And I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for him as well. And then finally, I want to thank Mr. Jim Pemberton. He is out of McKeesport, Pennsylvania, which is just southeast of Pittsburgh. Jim has taught me so many things when it comes to the upholstery side, but then also the business side. Jim has this workshop. It's a 2-day fine fabric upholstery care workshop class. It's 80% of it is hands-on. Most of the classes that I've gone to are in a booklet. You're hearing someone teach you via a PowerPoint presentation. Jim's class is all hands-on because that's how you learn. Mm-hmm. He has put together a tremendous program. If you haven't heard of it or you didn't know there's such a thing, you ought to check it out. I forget the name of the website.
I was going to say, is there a website or anything like that?
I can't remember what it is offhand, but
we'll post that. We'll put the link certainly on the video. Yeah.
But just Google Pemberton's Pittsburgh and you'll find it. He and his father have owned this store for over 30 years. They previously had their own dry cleaning business. When you actually dry clean things, that was very different times back then because dry cleaning products are solvent. They're highly flammable, toxic, and dangerous. Thank God we don't need to use those products today into the quantities and levels they did back then. Okay. But Jim, you're also great to me. I appreciate the friendship and relationship that we have, and I want to continue helping you as you've been helping me. You mean also to me as much as Steve does. So thank you to all of you gentlemen, and also my family. They've been able to be there and help support me over these 17 years, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for you either.
Love it. Here's to another 17, right?
Amen.
That's what it's about. No, so we're excited. Obviously, I'm excited for you and as you push the business to new heights. So it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So obviously that was warranted to kind of be the intro. Now we want to talk about some technical things.
Mm-hmm.
Ray, as maybe you may or may not know if it's your first time tuning in, Ray is a master technician when it comes to carpet cleaning and understanding the processes and chemistry and all of that. So we do have an example that we're gonna plug into this video when we edit it, but we're gonna chat about that a little bit.
Yes.
Right. So we had a coffee stain.
We did.
And then, so just with any type of stain, what is the first thing? I know you don't have the video in front of you, but obviously we did it together. What is the first step of the process with any type of stain like this? What are you gonna do?
First thing, you're going to ask the consumer what spilt.
Yeah.
You're going to ask them if they tried to use anything to remove it themselves, because then that's going to help dictate whether the likelihood of you removing it or not is going to set their expectations. And then after that, you're going to need to test the carpet fiber. You'll be able to see in the video how we did so. Two different methods, or processes, excuse me. And then exactly knowing what fiber. And then once you understand fibers, you'll be able to identify, well, what does this fiber like versus what it doesn't like.
Yeah.
This particular carpet fiber was nylon. Nylon has an affinity for anything that's acidic based. So red wine, coffee, juice, tea, soda, those are all acidic.
Right.
So because of the chemical components of the fiber, it might be more apt to hold on to those. I often like to describe carpet fibers as being like people's personalities.
Here we go.
Some are more stubborn and some release things very easily. In the case of nylon, for instance, if there's no more remaining protector, such as a Scotch Guard, DuPont Teflon, or manufacturer applied coating, it's going to be a little more difficult to remove that spot or stain because now it's on the fiber. And to use a comparison, it would be like a hardwood floor not having any urethane anymore. Alright, it's going to show you how we test carpet fibers. Use a butane lighter and a little device here so you don't burn your finger. That white smoke tells me this is more than likely a nylon carpet fiber. And then the other test we do is using a chemical. And if you look, we're going to put this down. And oh, yep, see it's dissolving. So that tells us that it's a nylon carpet fiber. So now that we identified that it was a nylon carpet fiber, we're going to use a UV light. Whoa, check that out, baby. Now the fact that this color is slightly green, I don't know if you can see that in the screen or not, that tells me that some kind of organic protein. The other colors that you're able to see under a UV light are a bluish, purplish, whitish color, and that is something with optical brighteners. So that would tell me if somebody used OxyClean or Resolve. And another color could be orange. That typically is something from a finishing part just a finishing product. If something happens, like a scratch, a surface scratch, that's now in the wood versus on the urethane.
Correct.
You can't take that scratch out as easily if it's in the wood.
Right.
Just like you can't remove the stain or whatever spilt in this situation.
Yep.
As easily as if there were a coating.
Right.
But also if a nylon carpet fiber is solution dyed, so think of either a carrot or a cucumber. The way they dye these carpet fibers can sometimes be like one or the other, but it can also sometimes be like a radish, where it's only color on the outside and on the inside it's a different one.
Right.
So depending on that structure. But then if it's a polyester or olefin carpet fiber, those fibers they come from oil or petroleum. Two different types of polyester come from water and soda bottles, as well as juice bottles. You know, basically anything that says number 1 or number 2. If you look on the bottom of that bottle, you're going to see that recycling triangle. Then you're going to see 1, and you're going to see the letters PET. That's polyester. So that's what your eco-friendly carpet is coming from.
Yep.
But there's this misconception out there that all you need to use is water to clean. Last time I checked, oil and water didn't mix. So I don't know how you can only use water.
Right.
Especially when both of these fibers love oil.
Right.
Now there are cleaning products out there that are able to break down that oil into a liquid form, and then that is removed during the cleaning process.
Right, extracted.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you don't actually remove oil with water. And then of course our the most expensive fiber out there is going to be wool. That's because it's on the natural side. Wool comes from a sheep. if you do not know that. And I also like to
You learn something new every day, folks.
I also like to say that through some of these pamphlets I've read that wool runs on grass, because that's what it does. It eats grass and then you make a fiber out of it. Also, wool is very hygroscopic, so it's always absorbing moisture from the air. So those of us that are in colder climates and drier climates in the winter, when you go to touch a doorknob, you're more than likely not going to get shocked if your carpet's wool, because you still have that moisture that's in the air. Now, if you have a nylon carpet fiber, you're more than likely going to get shocked because of how dry it is. I'm sure we've all touched that doorknob or gotten shocked and, oh shoot, what happened?
Yeah, right.
That usually will not happen with wool because, again, it's of its hydrostatic properties.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, are there different fibers for different, in your opinion, or maybe industry, are there different fibers that should be utilized in different areas? Maybe traffic flow, bedrooms opposed to a living room, opposed to a restaurant, etc.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we chat about that a little bit?
Well, the most common fiber that I recommend is going to be nylon, because nylon is very resilient. It is the most produced, well, it had been at one point, the most produced man-made fiber. It also will pass most flammability tests, because there are tests that these have to pass. And again, I talked last episode about ASTM. There are other testing that I'm not even sure of, but one of them is the American Color and Chemists. I don't know if I had that right, but there is some other test that has to be performed before it can pass. And even the manufacturers themselves have testing protocols within their own facilities, because they don't want to send out a product that is not going to pass their standards.
Right.
And I mean, even in the case, say that there was something that went wrong with some part of the phase of manufacturing the carpet, and it didn't pass the test. Well, what they're going to do is they're more than likely going to take that and put those into samples that you would receive, just little 3x3 or 5x5 that you have in your house, so that you can figure out, is this the color I want? Is this the style I want?
Right.
They're not going to put that out on a roll and then have that installed just to come back and have it bite them in the butt.
Right.
And then in a basement, yeah, you want to have probably olefin, just, if there were to be that chance of you ever getting water due to flood, because, here in New England, but really anywhere this year, it seems that rain, it seems that rain is higher and higher amounts than in previous years.
Right.
So you don't want to spend a lot of money on a carpet in a basement just to have to replace it sooner.
Right.
And contrary to what you may have heard or read or what have you, it's not actually the carpet itself that mold can grow unless it's wool. So I'm talking on the synthetic side. It is the items, the dust, the dander, that type of stuff that the carpet has collected that mold can grow, because that's organic. Carpet, remember, is plastic because it's man-made. So really, it can't, because if you think of that water bottle I just said, you could have water in that bottle for 100 years. Mold's not going to grow.
Right.
So the other example I like to use, especially when it comes to odors, is if I had a 16.9 ounce bottle of water and I put in 1 ounce of milk and I close that cap up. By the way, the bottle was empty before I put the milk. I put that milk in, 1 ounce, put the cap on, put it here on this table, let it sit for 1 week. I open that cap up. Is that bottle going to smell, or is it the milk? Because people always say, oh, my carpet stinks. No, it's the stuff that's in the carpet.
Right.
Just like the milk here would stink.
Right.
So there's always that misconception and misunderstanding.
Got it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Love it. So obviously in the demonstration we went over, you explained some of the things, but maybe just touch up on it. How do you test, or maybe just talk about this certain test that you can do on the carpet? So you did the
I did the burn test.
The burn test.
Yep.
And you did the UV light, right?
Yep.
And then the
chemical test.
Yeah, and the chemical test. So let's briefly talk about that.
Sure. Basically, you just test the fiber. The device we were given is called a roach clip. Other people might use a roach clip for something else.
Right.
But it's just a safe way to have access to the fiber, but not burn your hand as you're testing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's a nylon carpet fiber, it's going to have a blue base and an orange tip. It's also going to be a blue base orange tip if it's olefin. A polyester is always going to be completely orange, and it's going to be sputtering all over the place. And a wool carpet fiber, well, that really doesn't light up because it self-extinguishes. A nylon carpet fiber is going to have a white smoke. A olefin is also going to have a white smoke. Sometimes it can be black. A polyester is definitely going to have a black smoke. And as I said, the wool is going to have almost nothing because it's going to. There'll be a little bit of a white smoke, but it'll mostly go out. It'll just
itself.
yeah. And then in the end, they're all going to have hard beads except for the wool because it's going to be crumbled ash in your fingers and smell like burning paper. I don't get an odor when I'm testing nylon, even though they say it smells like celery. They say that polyester can smell sweet, and they say olefin smells like asphalt. The other chemical test for olefin is that you put it in a glass of water. Now, if it floats, you know that it's olefin, because that is the least water absorbent fiber out there. Olefin absorbs 0.005% of its weight in water.
Wow.
But it loves oil, so.
Right.
It'll soak that in like a wet sponge, just like the polyester.
Yeah. And then what about the chemical test? How did that work?
Chemical test, really that's only used to determine if it is polyester or nylon, because the formic acid will dissolve a nylon carpet fiber. There really is not a test for polyester. For me, I just know that as soon as I see that orange flame, polyester.
Polyester.
Yeah, I don't have to give it a second thought.
Got it. Excellent.
But sometimes there are even blends. So that's why I always have to ask the consumer, end user, homeowner, building property owner, if they have any information as to where they got this carpet from, so I can actually look up the specifications of that manufactured product. Because if it's a blend, say it's a nylon wool blend, I have to treat that as if it were wool. Because if I do something to treat it like nylon, that wool component is going to be damaged and harmed.
Right.
And I don't want to do that.
No, right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that means using less heat, using a lower pH product, more along the side of neutral, making sure I use extra dry vacuum passes so that it doesn't cause browning or other issues with the wool.
Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
So today's episode, if you couldn't tell, is really focused all about knowing your business.
Yes.
Right? And
Sure.
so I think, we did the examples with Ray, the demonstrations of the carpet and the stain itself. Well, he didn't talk about it, but we also illustrated the UV light kind of practice, if you will.
Yep.
Not really a test, but it identifies far more in this particular stain than you might see with the naked eye.
Correct.
But how do we relate this all to business? And this is all about knowing your business, knowing your service, knowing your industry, right? And this is a perfect example, right? We talked about in prior episodes, working in your business, working on your business, and you need to be able to do both of them well to have success, right?
You do. 17 years, baby.
Yeah, 17 years, man, killing it, and knowing everything there is to know about the service that you provide is key, right? Now you're in a push to building your business and getting more clients and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But for anybody that's out there in the entrepreneurial world, learn as much as you can about the industry. Certainly you're going to learn more as you continue through business, but learn as much as you can. Find an interest that you obviously very interested in, and learn as much as you can about it. And then start your business, and obviously you'll learn along the way as well.
Oh yeah. Guilty as charged.
But there's a massive lesson in today's episode about knowing your business, right? And the importance of that, right?
And having mentors, as I said, to be able to reach out to them. These guys I mentioned earlier, I can reach out to them at a moment's notice. It's on-demand technical support. I try not to bother Jim on the weekend, but it's happened. I do try to minimize that because I know that's his time away. But it's only in a rare situation that I've needed to contact him on a weekend.
Oh, all right. Well,
and he's been very willing to help.
Jim seems like a good guy.
Oh yes.
Yeah, seems like a good guy.
Jim is old school.
Nice. So we appreciate everybody being on the call or on the episode, watching the episode. I said on the call. We have a podcast channel as well. So we do this both visual and non-visual, so you can listen to it whenever you want. But yeah, no, we're excited. Next week, hopefully, we'll bring in more food.
Yes.
These last couple of weeks, bunch of losers. They didn't bring anything. So we'll bring more stuff in next week. So appreciate you guys all for the support. If you have any questions, feel free to send them over. Send us a direct message. We'd be happy to address those on the next episode. Until then, we'll see you later.